Ciao.
Okay. Starting on my left with 1, your number comes up, you go.
Just so you know, Jeff, you were not creating 6 different timelines.
Of course I am.
Started at 9th, but that's okay.
Well, Ted Lasso came out in Hollywood. That's the thing. It's getting confusing now because Apple is, Cupertino and Hollywood, right? I'm tired of... I will say one other thing. Well, hold on. Adam Christianson wrapping the week with us, everybody. Adam Christianson, he is the host of MacCast online at maccast.com. You can follow him on Twitter, MACCAST, MacCast. And the podcast is available everywhere. What are you're coming up on your 17th anniversary this winter, aren't you? 17. Yep. Yeah. I say, I've had a podcast for 15 years. And Adam says, hold my microbrew craft artisanal
beer,
lager. And then he says, 17. And I feel like a young whippersnapper. There was something I was going to say about I want their stories of the future to be a story of the future. I actually wrote to Tim Cook recently. I think it was my 3rd email to Tim Cook ever. Mm-hmm. And said, hey, great. So Wool is about a dystopian future. C is about a dystopian future. I have a tremendous amount of love and respect for the Foundation books, but I mean, basically that starts with, right, the Galactic Empire is going to fall apart, so we need to do something about saving it afterwards. And so you can say, okay, well, there's a bit of hope to that part, except for the part where it's endless wars and the, Galactic Empire falling apart first. There's some other future show that they're doing. I think there's one like selling timeshares on the moon, but the guy who is going to be sort of the lead of that is having difficult times. I would like a nice story of the future from Apple. The people who brought us 1,000 songs in your pocket, the people who brought us the personal computer for all intents and purposes, the people who keep wowing us with these devices that seem to be straight from the future. Maybe give me an Orville. Maybe give me something that doesn't say, well, we all know the future is going to suck. But here's how it might work out for one person. Anyway.
I like that idea. I hope he listens to you.
Well, he didn't write back. But I did also make the mistake of saying I'm an Apple podcaster. So how can he write back to me? Because now it's like...
No, he can't.
Yeah.
PR team says no.
I interrupt everything to bring you the special announcement. Tim Cook said hi to me. It's kind of it. Although I do remind people constantly that I did get my picture taken with him earlier this year.
You did? I saw that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was weird, too. The weirdest thing was we were all in the store with no masks. It was like that 2 weeks when they said, hey, everything's fine. And like a week later, they're like, oh, it turns out everything's not fine. Put your mask back on. We're not talking about any of that today, though. Well, I don't really know what we're talking about. Not unlike Monday. Monday is driven by the guest. Friday is also driven by the guest. It is time for Adam Christianson's dinner party. He gets to invite 3 people to sit around the table with him. It's about a 2.5-hour meal, I guess. So it's not just dine and dash. You get to sit. You get to spend some time. I have no idea who Adam is inviting to the table. I am curious, though, sir. Who would be your first guest?
I have to say first, when you sent me this topic, all I can think of is Mythic Quest dinner party.
That's what it's based on. Yeah, that's absolutely what it is based on. I've stopped doing the Poppy imitation now, but that's absolutely where I got the idea.
Yeah. So this one was interesting for me because I don't have just 3 people that immediately come to mind, but the first person is definitely my dad.
Okay.
And I don't talk about this. I don't talk a lot about personal stuff on my podcast very much. I keep it very much focused on the Mac stuff. But reason my dad is he was killed in a car accident in 1998. He was just 52. I turned 50 this year. He's never known my kids. So, I mean, the big reason I would want him there is just to share my life with him, to be able to show him how great my kids turned out. And a lot of that's because of his influence on who I am and all those sorts of things. And just, they have a lot of his talents and humor. And I absolutely love my dad. He was a great inspiration. Like I said, a lot of the way that I am comes from his influence and his upbringing. And, I just miss him all the time. So That one, like I said, it gets a little emotional. I don't want to bring everybody down, but yeah, like I would love to have him there just to chat, even if it's just for a couple hours.
Right. Hey,
Yep.
do you want to invite anybody else?
I do.
I mean, I'm not being a wise guy about that, but
No, yeah, I do. And I actually, these other two people, I think my dad would get along with really, really great, because my dad was a little bit of a joker and kind of a comedian. And so another person I just would love to be able to like talk to would be Robin Williams. And then the third person would be Steve Wozniak.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Robin Williams, just because I think part of the reason was, he was a San Francisco person. I grew up outside of the Bay Area, just outside of the Bay Area, going into San Francisco and stuff like that. And just around that time, the 80s. And just an amazing talent. Everything I've ever read or seen from him seems like he's just an amazing person. Obviously had his own demons, and that's all sad and tragic, but just that guy, I would just love to, like, his brain, just the way it worked and the genius that he had, just seems like it'd be fun. It seems like he'd be just like an amazing person to just hang out with for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. Do you want, forgive me, because people have introduced the idea of you can pull them at a certain time. Like, I mean, do you want, okay, so it's all said and done, and now here's Robin Williams, or do you want, like, nutty on the rise 1980s?
No, I don't think
Williams,
I want the, like, cocaine up, like, drugged up Robin Williams. I probably want him from later in life,
okay.
Like,
all right.
Probably, not long before he passed, that later in life Robin, who's done a few more things, and yeah. Okay. I would want, because I would like to, again, being a dad and being all those sorts of things, I'd love to talk to him about that sort of stuff. And yeah. So it'd definitely be the later in life Robin Williams. And same thing with Steve Wozniak. Like, I'd love to just sit down with Steve Wozniak right now. And again, that's just because, a lot of people I think would say Steve Jobs, but like, I just don't think I'd have a lot of stuff to, well, in the Apple community, I think. I think a lot of people do.
I'm sorry. What's funny to me is you told me before we started recording that you have not heard any of the dinner parties. You're now the fourth or fifth person who is like, I know I should say Jobs.
Oh, really?
Nobody has said Jobs. Everybody has said, well, not everybody has said I should stay Jobs, but a lot of people have been like, yeah, I know I should stay Steve Jobs, but nobody has invited Steve Jobs yet. I think I might, just because I feel bad for the guy. If I ever do this, even then, no.
Yeah, I just don't think I'd have a lot in common with him. And I feel like I'd have a lot in common with Steve Wozniak. And maybe that's because he's, I'm a programmer, developer, and he was too. But I think also, again, I tend to gravitate towards people who I think have a similar personality that I have, just warm, funny, open people. I like the fact that Steve Wozniak doesn't seem like he's ever been changed in any way by his success. And I'd love to know, like, how he manages that. And he's a great storyteller when I've seen him in interviews. We actually had him on the iOS show, and it was really fun. So I did get to talk to him. I've talked to him at conferences briefly and stuff like that. But just to be able to sit down with him and actually really have a conversation with him about, inventing Apple and all the technology and opportunities that he's had throughout the years. And again, I think it'd just be a really fun conversation.
I would love to. I want to ask you to ask him a question if you guys ever do have dinner. The thing that's weird to me is you've picked somebody who, because when Mike Rose was on a few weeks ago, he was saying, this is one that theoretically could happen, and this is one that theoretically could happen. I believe that you could probably engineer a dinner, or at the very least a meeting with Woz. But I need you to just get to the truth of whether or not he actually talked to the Pope. Right? You know that story, right?
I'm pretty sure that's true.
I'm pretty sure they got in touch with the Vatican. Do you think he actually talked to the Pope? But maybe you could ask him. You see, that's the thing.
Point.
That's the weird part of it to me, because like the one time I interviewed him, I said, so we happen to be talking on April 1st, which of course is the anniversary, and he's like, yeah, I don't know where that date came from. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't know where that date? It's the date, and he's like, yeah, it was around then. I'm like, really? Because you're blowing my mind right now. So,
right. No, yeah. So that's funny because I've been digging into some things too, and there's the story, and I think it was Daniel Kotke. Was it Daniel Kotke and him? Now I'm gonna mess it up.
The blue box?
No, it was the cream soda computer. Like, I want to talk to him about that.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. So yeah, you'll have to ask him about that too.
He and I'm blowing it because I don't have the notes in front of me, but I don't remember if it was Kotke or Raf. But basically, he got a bunch of parts and he built this little computer that was basically more or less kind of a calculator. Mm-hmm. And they got a reporter from like the local newspaper to like come out and do a story on it. Mm-hmm. But when they was doing the story is they stepped on the power cord and it fried the computer basically. But the thing that is baffling me and has been baffling me, and I kind of started to draft an email to Woz because I started doing some research. I was trying to find the actual article that got like published in the paper. And what's interesting is in his book, Woz says the paper is this one newspaper. And from the research that I have aligned with the dates, that paper didn't exist at that time. It basically switched names. Mm-hmm. And so like, I'm not sure that, and I went to go and try and find the article that would have been published around the dates, and I can't find it. So I've actually contacted the archives up in Sacramento to have them look into it. But with COVID, they were all shut down. So like nobody could go look for it. And then once somebody was finally back in and went to look for it, they couldn't find the article either. And they're like, well, you could either come up here and do the research yourself, or you could hire one of our researchers. And at that point, I thought, I'm just going to email Steve and be like, do you happen to have like a copy of this article? Because I'd love to see the article. It's not posted online anywhere. Like, did it actually ever even get written? I don't doubt that the reporter came out, but I'm curious if the actual article ever got published.
So I'm hearing like, so here's the thought. A road trip followed by, we drop by Woz's house and we'll even pick up dinner on the way. It could be, it could be a whole thing.